With the upcoming release of Metro Last Light, we're all reminded of Metro 2033, a game that received surprisingly mediocre reviews for being probably the most atmospheric game to date. Seriously, there's a ton of people out there who think this game is one of, if not the most underrated game of all time. But let's go on ahead and ask, how good is it actually? Some reviewers like GameZone's Dakota Grabowski gave the game an 8 out of 10, saying THQ and 4A Games were able to put forth a wonderful tale that deserved telling, while others like IGN gave it a 6.9 out of 10, citing frame rate issues, bugs, and disappointing graphics. Well, let's take another look at the game objectively and see if it's really worth your $15 on Steam. Metro 2033 is set in the post-apocalyptic Moscow metro system. A nuclear holocaust occurred, as it always does, and humanity managed to survive, as it always does, by hiding underground, this time in the Moscow metro system. You play a semi-silent protagonist, Artyom, one of the survivors living in a metro station. After mutant attacks begin dangerously escalating at your home, you go on a trip to Polis, the sort of capital metro station, to ask for aid, and the story takes off from there. Now, especially if you watch my first video where I played Armchair CEO and demanded that we get more games with better narratives, you probably know that I have very high standards for a game's story, characters, and overall writing. I'm the kind of guy who's still mad at To The Moon for not leaving me 100% satisfied by the end of the game. Seriously, why didn't you guys question the morality of what you were doing more? What was I saying? Oh yeah, for being the prick that I am when it comes to a game's story, I found Metro 2033's story to be pretty damn good. Probably because it was based off the book with the same name by Dmitry Glukovsky. This guy wrote a seriously good story with really awesome characters, and our friend Mr. Lebowski was right. This really is a story worth telling. It's incredibly intense. I mean, you're scared out of your mind at times, and the game doesn't resort to any of the classic horror game cliches like, no really, I'm dead, just come a little closer. In fact, there's only a few instances where something pops out at you in the classic scary way. The game doesn't scare you the way other games do. You're not scared because you're alone in a haunted house anticipating a ghost saying boo. You're scared because you're rolling down a train track with hordes of monsters following you, throwing themselves at you through the darkness. You really get immersed in the game, probably due to the amazing atmosphere, to a point where your fear stems from a genuine fear for your life. Now, obviously, that's where all fear originates from, but Metro plays on that fear in a different way from other games. Rather than setting up scary moments to startle you, the game instead focuses on immersing you in a world and trying to show you that surviving won't be an easy task. If you allow it, you'll really fall into this incredible, intricate story and become a part of this fascinating world. Often throughout, you find friends who help you on your journey and make it much more enjoyable, giving a sense of camaraderie, but when they get separated from you or send you on your way, you'll find yourself missing them, wishing you had someone else to guide you and make the game less suspenseful or terrifying. You really get lost in this game and forget you're playing a video game at points. I found myself doing whatever my fight or flight instincts told me to do to stay alive, not what my experience as a person who's played these types of video games was telling me to do. I don't know what IGN was smoking when they said this game didn't look good, but this game is absolutely brilliant graphically. 4A Games have built a remarkable world here. Because it's linear and not an open sandbox like Fallout 3, the devs were able to put an immense amount of detail into it. The metro stations you casually get to visit are living, breathing cities, with each person there having their own conversations with one another, and the metro tunnels are both beautiful and frightening in a very somber way. There's just so much detail in everything. You really get a good sense of feeling what the game is trying to make you feel when playing. The story is intense, the characters are interesting, and there's overall some really cool themes lying around throughout the game as well.
Even the apocalypse didn't stop us from killing one another over ideology.
No game is without its faults though, and this game does have its fair share of blemishes. The monster physics can be a bit weird at times, among other things, but there's only really two issues that may take you out of the experience itself. The first is a technical issue. The game wasn't optimized very well for PC. As a matter of fact, you may have noticed some distorted images here and there in this review. If you have a mediocre PC, you may have some trouble running it without lag or frame rate drops every once in a while. To be honest though, my computer's not that great, and I never had any issue so severe that it took me out of the experience. And seeing as this is literally the first game this team has made together, I can forgive them for not porting it to PC perfectly. The second problem you'll run into is if you're like me and you're not that great at stealth. The game is pretty damn realistic with drop on the crossbows and some of the pneumatic weapons, kinda adding to the frustration here, but the big problem is if you miss a throwing knife and it lands within a 15-foot radius of an enemy, everyone in the level will suddenly know where you are, as if that was the breaking point and your mind just went That's it, right there. I can't take it anymore. Come and get me!
Come on, I'm here, bitches!
Or yeah, kind of like that. There are very few games, though, that have done stealth perfectly, and again, this is the studio's first game, so I'm okay with forgiving them here. You, of course, don't have to be stealthy anyway, and if you choose to, there are plenty of tools you have at your disposal, silenced guns, plenty of weapons, plus the ability to turn off lights. And if you do mess up, there's plenty of logically placed checkpoints scattered throughout the level, so it's not that big of a deal. But what about the gameplay? Good question. Apart from that last bit, so far I've just said this game is atmospheric, well written, and has a good story, all of which could be said for a book or movie, and unless you're playing Planescape Torment, you aren't here to read, you're here to play games. A book will tell you a story, but a game will let you experience one. So how is the gameplay? Well, the gameplay is pretty damn good. It has some of the old classic shooter mechanics we've all grown accustomed to. It has plenty of weapon variety. It introduces new innovative mechanics like a flashlight you have to pump to keep fully charged and a gas mask that you have to put on when going to the surface. And it ties all together very well into the game's theme of surviving in this post-apocalyptic world. Plus, it does that awesome Shadow of the Colossus thing where the game is paced very well by making half of it spent either exploring the dark, quiet metro systems or bustling markets, and the other half spent in intense combat instances fighting for your life. This contrasts both of them very well, making them all the more enjoyable. Not to mention the fact that it's probably one of the more realistic games I've played. Monsters are blurred a bit as they fly across your screen in a realistic way, like how your eyes actually work. You have to pick up ammo found in guns instead of just running over them, and your gas mask can break and need replacement if you're not careful when fighting. All in all, except for the occasional psychic AI in the stealth sections, there's not a lot to complain about when it comes to the gameplay, and even less to complain about when it comes to the story. Now, despite my lack of criticism in this review, which, sorry, I'll work on that next time around, it's by no means a perfect game, but all in all, the gameplay is solid, there's some really awesome new innovative ideas, and it's a very cool story told in a very cool way. If you're the kind of person who can appreciate a good work of art and let yourself get lost in a world's story, chances are you'll love Metro 2033. But if you're the kind of person looking for his daily fix of online multiplayer slaughter here, buy it anyway. It's only $15, and it's truly an amazing creation that deserves a lot more appreciation than when it was given on release. You don't have to love a good story to enjoy this game. All you need is the ability to appreciate a fine single-player experience, and it will be well worth your $15. If you are the kind of person who loves a good story, though, it would be well worth $60 for you, and I highly recommend that you check it out. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.